Actually, depends on your interpretation kung ano yung kwento niya. So far, ang interpretation ko, it's a coming of age tale of JC, the character. Because di ba, it's a story about a father who's training his son. It's a story about a father who's managing a hotel or an operator. So he's training his son to be the next. So pumunta siya doon sa isang western country para mag-work. And habang nagpo-progress yung story, nakikita niya kung ano yung horror inside and outside the hotel. And tapos makikita niya kung ano nangyayari sa mga immigrants na pumapasok doon. Again, kanina pinag-uusapan, di ba, ang motel sa atin, iba yung itsura, iba yung connotation. Yung motel sa, di ba, sa ibang bansa, it's an inn, di ba? It's a drive-in siya, parang mag-stay ka doon, tapos mag-drive. So this time, ito siya, parang station bago ka tumawid sa wall para as an immigrant. So it's set in a western country, pero syempre hindi na namin sinabi kung ano yun. The creature, it's a mythical creature, Philippine mythical creature. Galing siya sa acacia tree. So yung puno ng acacia, napunta lang sa western country. But else, ano ba? Kasama ko dito.
Your character naman, si JC.
Ako, ayun nga, ang, ano ba, kung makikita niyo doon sa pelikula, sobrang, preparation-wise, sobrang, nirequire ako ni Brad na mag-lose ng weight. I think, mga 30 pounds, from 75 kilos ako noon. Lose ako ng 60 kilos for preparation. And, ang pinaka gusto ko sa pelikula to is the whole process of the film, which was the theater process. Kasi nagkaroon kami ng mahabang table work for analyzing the script. And kasama ng mga actors, lahat sila, si Yon Maywood, which is my father, theater process siya. Kung napanood yun yung Peaky Blinders sa Netflix, I think, siya yung Russian guy. So, nakakwento niya sa akin, kasama niya si Cillian Murphy, go-usap sila, na it's the same language as the theater. So nag-usap kami doon every time na nagre-rehearse ngayon, pwede kami mag-rehearse ng lines kasi meron kaming set na binuo na pwede kami pumunta tapos mag-rehearse kami right there and then. Tapos nandun na si Brad na nanonood. So kakaibang process siya for film. For me, ako ito sana lagi. Ano yan, sana all. At nakasama ko din siya international cast. Maganda dito. Pinag-uusapan natin acting, di ba? Iba-ibang mga tao to kasama sa mga Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. So, same language, acting. Baga kala natin, iba-iba yung process nila. Pare-pareho din naman. Baga, ibang way lang nila ginagawa. At ang gagaling. Yeah, ang gagaling yung mga artista. At syempre, kasama ko dito si Miss Agot Isidro.
Yes.
Ano ba?
Yeah, probably we'll open the floor to questions from our friends na lang.
Kasi marami ka nang nagawang pelikula, tapos iba't ibang mga tawag dito, character at least as artist na yung mga nakasalamuha mo. How is it working with international actors from different countries compared dito sa mga Filipino actors?
Ang masarap sa international cast. They mean business. Kumbaga, dito kami, gagawin na natin itong pelikulan to. Wala tayong ibang chika. Gagawin natin yung pelikula. Gagawin natin yung acting. Ayusin natin yung acting natin. So, actingan talaga siya. Kumbaga, wala nang parang, of course, you be friends every time habang nagpo-progress yung shooting days. Pero kapag nandun na, sobrang seryoso sila. Militar levels of seryoso. At doon ko natutunan yung ibang kakaibang disiplina. Sabi ko, buti na lang nanggaling ako sa theater. Alam mo, yung pinagpapasalamat ko na, okay, tama din pala yung disiplina na natutunan ko. At sobrang disiplinado at saka yung dedication nila sa craft. Kakaiba kasi di baling paulit-ulit. Di baling pupukin natin yung sarili natin hanggang makuha natin kung ano yung itsura ng eksena to. Para mag-work lang siya. At yun yung gusto ko. Para tayong naghahasa ng kutsilyo habang tumatagal. So, ayun.
How is it working with the director? Higpit pa siya? Strict
Si
pa siya?
Bradley Liu. Si
Cool na director lang siya?
Sobrang cool. Kasi edad ko lang halos si Bradley. I think matanda na ako ng isang taon sa kanya. So nung pinresent niya sa akin tong project na to, 2017 pa. 2017, 2018. So nag-start siya December 2018 pa. So noong 2017, sinabi niya sa akin, may project lang siya. Meron akong horror project or thriller, ganun siya. Tapos sinabay niya siyempre si Bianca Bilboy. Nakatrabaho sila sa single-single. Yung pinakaunang series pa, Sinubukan. So, nung nakita ko na lang sila, mga November 2018 na. Tapos, yun na, doon ko na nalaman kung ano yung kwento nung Motel Acasia. Sobrang, masarap kasi ito sa director na alam niya yung ginagawa niya. Alam niya yung gusto niyo makita. Alam niya yung tempo nung bawat eksena. Alam niya yung rhythm. For this scene, I want you to make it a little fast. So, alam na niya yung rhythm nung bawat eksena. So, solid na orchestrated. So, makita mo pag nandun ka sa pelikula. So, para siyang music na, alam mo na yung parang, uy, andyan na. Tapos biglang tatahimik pero nakakabit ka. Pero biglang, uy, may ano siya eh. Roller coaster level ride. Parang gano'n. So, nung tinanong ko siya kasi nga genre, genre film niya to. Usually kasi nasa art house. Sila kasi nga international films lagi ginagawa nila. So, ito na yung pinaka-genre niya, sinasabi niya. Pero meron pa rin art house. Kumbaga nag-compromise. So, ayun. Ang nakaka-amaze dito the cinematographer, si Larry Manda. Yung quality ng work niya, pag nakikita ko yung picture, sabi ko, okay, sabi ko, pwede na tayong pumasok sa international level na pwede itong panoorin ng kahit sino.
Tapos last na lang, napanood mo na ito internationally? Kasama ka ba that time?
Yes, I was in Tokyo Film Festival.
Please tell us something about yung reaction ng mga nanonood. Same reaction ba na mararamdaman ng Pinoy once they watch this film? Or parang tahimik lang ba sila? Or parang apektado sila sa film? Parang ganyan.
Pinanood namin siya, first time ko siyang panood sa Japan. Di ba, Japanese? Pag nanonood sila, alam mo yung relax, sobrang relax sila. So, ako, hindi ako nanonood ng horror. So, kapag may time na nagugulat talaga ako. Mga ganun talaga ako sa seat ko. Tapos sila, ganun sila. Pero pinamagod dito, sold out yung dalawang show namin doon. Halos wala nang maupuan. Tapos maraming dumating na, meron akong in-invite na celebrity from Japan. At nagpunta sila. Madami. At nagustuhan nila yung pelikula. Maganda sana may sasabihin yung father ni may sinabi yung father ni Bradley. Maganda rin yan. Pag nandiyan na lang siya. I think ready na to eh. Parang sobrang nakaka-proud na nandun ako sa Japan nung time na yun. Sabi ko, ang sarap maging Pinoy. Sabi ko, ang taray, pwede nang gumawa ng ganito yung Pinoy. Kaya pala natin. Sabi ko, with the right amount of money and time. Sabi ko, okay ah. Sabi ko, ayun, nakaka-proud maging Pinoy. Ang sarap.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Bukod po sa work ethic and discipline, may iba pa po bang differences yung working on a project locally and working on a project na international collaboration?
Meron pa ibang difference?
Yeah. In production, when we were
In production, na nandun ako.
Slovenia.
Nung nandun ako, as technical matter na to eh. Nung nandun kasi ako, isang experience ko, dahil nga, snow, pinag-usapan, diba, negative 15, 16, 13, 14, 15, 16, mga ganun-ganun lang siya. So, working with the Slovenian people naman. Ang AC namin, yung nagpo-focus puller, babae. So, malaking babae siya. So, hawak ng camera. Walang makakahawak ng camera na to, ako lang. Tapos meron silang sariling screen. May sarili siyang screen na may nakakumot siyang ganun para tama yung focus niya. So, sabi ko, okay. Sabi ko, wala kaming ganito sa Pilipinas. So, I think yun nga, sabi ko, may with the right amount of budget, makaya naman eh. Baga, yung kaya na, tapos ano ba, yung break time, the value break time. Sobra. 30 minutes lang to Hindi to sobra. Kasi, kailangan na natin itong tapusin para mas marami kaming time sa pamilya namin pag-work. At sabi ko, gusto ko yun Sabi ko, sana ganun lagi. Ayun, so, tas on time. Ayun, tas, syempre, yung work hours namin sobrang bilis. Sabi ko, okay, ganito pala ang international levels of shooting. Minsan, uuwi ako, parang di ako pagod eh. Sabi ko, parang gusto ko pa. Sanay ako sa 19 hours eh.
With this kasi yung ikli niya daw mag-shoot nila, Brad.
Oo, kasi meron kaming almost 1 month. Pero okay lang mag-work araw-araw. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. lang kami. Tapos araw-araw gigising ako 6 a.m. Tapos hawak nila yung food ko. Kasi,
Parang is that the first in Philippines, di ba?
dream come true. Ano tawag dito? Hawak nila yung food. So, sila yung nagbabantay, ito yung diet mo ngayon. Ang taray! Sabi ko talaga. Unlike yung usual shooting, kung ano yung bigay, yun ay kakainin mo.
Speaking about food po, nabanggit po sa isang vlog ko ni Sir Bradley and Miss Agot na na-deprive daw po kayo sa diet.
Hindi naman din-deprive. Kasi choice ko yun eh. Kumbaga, binigyan niya ako ng, sige papayat ka dito. Gusto ko mukha kang gutom. Gusto ko wala ka, parang wala kang makain. At yun yung kasi yung theme ng pelikula eh. Ano kami lahat, gutom kami. Kumbaga, limited lang yung food. At wala kaming mapuntahan. So, yun yung parang first station bago ka umalis. Makalagpas sa wall at kailangan ng ID card. So, yung binantayan nila yung diet ko, of course, para continuity purpose. Nung may pang ako doon, chiseled eh. Di ba? Sabi ko, kasi, tapos yung workout ko bali, naka ano na yun. Pagka pin-repair ko na siya hanggang December, para sa December, food na lang yung problema ko. Hindi naman ako diniprev. Choice naman. Masarap kasi yung food na kinakain nila every time. Nagbo-buffet sila eh. Iba't ibang food everyday kasi kami international cast. Tapos nagkakaroon sila ng mga boodle fight every time na may umaalis na international cast. Ayun. Si Vitaya Prapansing wala, hindi nakita dun sa ano. Nakasama niya siyempre pinagmamalaki ko yung cast na. Nakasama niya si Ryan Gosling sa pelikulang Only God Forgives. Si Nicolas Saputra. Siya. Sobrang sikat ni Nicolas Saputra. Nung nandun ako sa film festival, sobrang nag-trending daw siya dahil first time niya mag-selfie na pinakita niyang bumoboto siya. So trending yun. Balitang-balita siya. Buong Japan. Ganun siya katinding celebrity. At si Bron Palare, yan, sa HBO. At ano sila parang na kami magkakapatid nung time na natapos na eh. Pero sa pelikula magkakaaway kami.
Another question, sir. Since you're working with big name actors na international po, meron po ba kayong personal anxiety na naramdaman?
Lagi. Siyempre, kailangan mo sumabay sa, hindi naman, kailangan mo sumabay sa standard. Pero at the same time, natututo ka. Kasi, ang gagawin mo lang naman eh, gayahin ko anong ginagawa nila. Kung nakikita mo na yung disiplina sa harapan mo, makukuha mo kaagad yun eh. Tapos nakikita mo kung paano sila magbigay sa'yo. Parang nung time na nakatrabaho ko yung Miracle Cell number 7 people, kung paano sila nagbigay, sabi ko, ganyan kayo magbigay, so ganito ako magbibigay. So ano lang yun eh, give and take, lalo na sa, syempre, English na mag-i-English naman tayo lagi. So, sobrang expressive nila na ang dali. Gano'n, so kaya hindi na natin kailangan mag-improve ng sobra, kasi usually dito kasi sa Pilipinas, pag nakuha mo na yung script, sa pag-eksena na, improv na. Pag may lines ka lang naiisip, si improv na. Doon, kung ano yung ginawa natin, tapos sa rehearsal, ganoon yung mangyayari sa take. So, ayun. Thank you po. Sagot ko ba yan?
Professional yun sa international kaysa dito sa atin.
Hindi naman. Iba lang yung nila, disiplina. Kumbaga, pero nag-work naman pareho eh. It just so happens na improv-based, I think, ang film sa Pilipinas. At sa kanila, naka-theater process for me. Yeah. At saka inaano naman siya, kumbaga, minimix or tinatone ni Brad. Kumbaga, yung intense level mo dito, parang 7 lang out of 10.
So, ano yung napapansin mo na sa tingin mo yung pwede pang i-improve ng mga dito sa atin?
Sabi mo? Dami. Ano ba? Sa tingin ko, I think ako, the idea of ito kasi from the theater discipline lang naman ako. Doon ako nandun sa being late. I think being late is selfish. So it starts with your being professional. Kung paano ka sumunod sa oras. And I think masasabi din yan ng mga tao sa militar. Ano mo yan? So, ayun lang. Yun lang ako. Tsaka yung cramming culture. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, ayan na po siya. Please all welcome Mr. Derek Bradley Liu.
And then the car broke down.
Direct, it's a different set of vloggers.
Yeah.
So, may gusto kang sabihin sa
Thank you for taking the time to come down and attend this BlogCon. I don't know what JC might have said.
We were talking about a while ago how you got me here. This project.
Yeah, I mean, this project has been in the process for. Before we shot it, it was in development for almost 3.5 years, and then when we finally did it, in the entire writing process, JC was always in my head, because we saw him once doing tonight's what was the tele?
Till I met you.
Yeah,
We met single too.
Yeah. And then after that, he had this very special look when he lost a lot of weight. For his role in the teleserie. So then we were thinking, holy crap, like JC is perfect for this role. I mean, the only thing now we need to make him really skinny for the entire shoot. So if you, maybe he told you already, like we were forcing him to eat salads every day. So it's like lechon, and then JC is just in the corner of the salad. So. But it was just a very special moment. It's a very special process if you as the writer of something is able to really imagine the actor in the role. So it kind of eliminates a lot of guessing work. So you kind of start thinking like, what would JC do? What would he feel in this moment? How would he react? And it was a lot easier to write the film.
And how is it with the international cast?
It was very special because this cast, some of them are huge names. Like Nicholas Saputra is basically the Indonesian John Lloyd Cruz, and then Bron Pelare, very big actor and very respected actor in Malaysia. Vitaya Pansingkam, basically he was in films with Ryan Gosling, Only God Forgives. And he was in Hangover too. Yeah.
Forgot about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And all these international casts, usually Bianca, my producer, and we would meet them in international film festivals. And of course, when you are Southeast Asian, everyone's like, we hang out together, stick together, drink together. But then, and of course, you always say, next time you have a project, call me. But then, when can you ever have a Malaysian actor or a Indonesian actor or a Thai actor all at the same time in the Filipino films? And but when this project started developing into the fact that we were going to make a story about these immigrants, and these immigrants would specifically come from Southeast Asia, they want to tell a very specific story. And I was like, wow, okay, finally we can make those phone calls and get these high-level actors from different Southeast Asian countries on board.
Hello, hi.
The trailer reminded me of 13 Ghosts and Hostel combined. It has that feel. So my question is regarding this. I've read some reviews of the film, and most of them they actually mention specifically that somehow it seems like an ode to the immigrant situation in the U.S. And you, as someone, of course, who's Asian, what's your experience in the U.S.?
The film doesn't really say it's in the U.S. The reason why we have these questions because we wrote the film very specifically in mind with Southeast Asian immigrants in a cold Western country.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind this Western country would be the ex-colonizers of us. So our countries, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, we all almost share the same kind of colonizers. And so the idea is that in today's society, we are in a society that wants to leave the country. We want to get out of Southeast Asia. We want to go to this greener pastures, this beautiful Western place. But when we get there, what happens? We're second-class citizens, and with today's increasingly crazy political situations in the West, we have crazy dictators, people who feel like immigration it's kind of a cancer, right? We just need to delete it. We need to nuke it or something. So it's kind of reflective on today's society about immigration and how we think that is the best place to go. But when you get there are a lot of realities behind it as well.
As a follow-up to that question, because of course I know you're in a way familiar with the Filipino culture because your wife is a Filipino. Why do you think Filipinos can't get out of their colonial mentality?
I don't think just Filipinos. In Malaysia right now, we're going through a huge political crisis as well. It's the same with even Thailand, who's actually never been actually properly colonized. Indonesia, of course, horrible situations. I think when the colonizers came all those 100 years ago, they had a tactic, and the tactic came from the Portuguese, and it was to divide and conquer. You divide the people, set them against each other, and then you conquer them. And that process has been very prevalent in how the exchanges happen, Portuguese to the Dutch, to the English, to the Americans, and even now. When all these colonizers go home and supposedly give us our independence, our politicians use the same methods against us. So people are still blinded by the fact they think that they're free, but we are still bounded with these scars of colonization. And until people acknowledge that politicians and people in power are using these things against us, and it's very hard to step back and realize as well, because we are a country. Our countries are not very rich. We're not classified as first world countries, so we deal with poverty, we deal with social issues, we deal with a lot of problems. But the people need to see that these same tactics are still used against the people to keep them separated from us, from uniting, so that strong people and rich and greedy people stay in power.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Wow.
Why did you choose to create a narrative of immigration through the lens of horror?
I feel like, well, not to say that we wanted to specifically do horror, but my first film was a drama. It was a portrait of a man growing old. It had Pepe Smith in it, the late Pepe Smith. So for the second film, Bianca and I, my producer and I, we were like, we need to go 180 degrees. We need to, go crazy, go as extreme as you can away from, that first kind of style. So it was with us, because we have the same team, basically, the DOP, Larry Manda, the production designers, Benjamin Padaro, Khaled Tabihi. We were all like the same team from the first film. So we decided that we would push ourselves to the absolute limit by doing something totally different and challenge ourselves. And so therefore we came out with the idea of doing something a little bit supernatural, a little bit horror, thriller, with elements of suspense. So the reason, I guess, it would be, we picked the genre first, and then we decided we needed to make something a bit more meaningful with the genre and push a little bit of ideas behind it as well.
Pero horror talaga pag
And is it something that represents something in the movie?
Sorry.
How was the mythological creature described in the movie? Is that a representation of something?
When the writing started, I'll be very honest, when the writing started, we decided we wanted to try doing something with the kapre, because we were very fascinated with this creature that's always on trees. But as we started writing, we realized that this really doesn't show classic symptoms of the kapre to a certain extent. We wanted to create our own creature, so that's why we decided that this would be a tree demon, and the tree demon. It kind of spawned the idea of the film itself. Like we thought about tree demons, which is very prevalent in Southeast Asian mythology, not just in the Philippines. So there's always a tree somewhere in the forest that you should be afraid of, because something lives in the trees. And we thought like, okay, what if these illegal loggers come down and cut down this tree, and the spirit of this tree demon is stuck in the wood? And of course, what do they use this wood for? They make furniture, they make things. And suddenly you have this vengeful bit that eats men and impregnates women. So.
Another follow-up question. On the tree demon, was that transported from the Philippines going to Europe, or that is something that came from the place itself?
Oh yeah, I would say it's definitely something from us going to there.
Alright, thank you. And what are the social issues aside from migration that being tackled in the film?
I feel for me, because we look at the film is a journey through JC's basically point of view. So it was very important for us that we wanted to create something where a young man trying to step out from his father's shadows. And in that sense that when the father tells him that you are here to inherit something that's evil, that's used in the name of evil or cruelty then he needs to make decisions. So I think the film is really about the dangers of apathy, the dangers of not making choices, because not making a choice also has consequences. And as JC goes through this journey of deciding what to do, does he follow in his father's footsteps and kill people? Or does he not do anything where people also die? Or does he try to do the right thing and save them? But these things in reality also have consequences for all three.
Alright, that's something that we should watch. And to JC, after doing this film, do you have dream roles on future films or any roles you challenging or would like to portray in the future? There will be offers of international films.
Gusto ko yung mga ganito eh. Gusto ko yung mga survival. Siguro kung kaya kong pwede mag-historical or biographical. Gusto kong gumaya ng isang tao, a hero or someone kung kilala dito sa Pilipinas. We'll see.
Alright, and that's something that adds up to the challenge. Aside from this, anything you learned na, kasi sa movie pag nakita mo yung trailer, it's something international, mapifeel mo yung vibe. So, what is something we need to adapt in order to ma-level natin yung mga ganitong movies for the parts sa mga Filipino films na nagawa mo?
With the right amount of time and budget, you have a great film, a good director, a good story.
I don't think it's a casting of people or something, because the talent is here. I mean, the cinematographer is Filipino, the production design, everything created in the film is Filipino. So what you see on the screen and how it's conveyed is all local talent. So I don't think it's whether or not we have the talent. Again, like JC said, it's really the time. We need the opportunity to take the time and do things in a more thoughtful way, rather than trying to rush films and rush, because we're only human and we can only work a certain amount of hours a day, and after a certain point something's got to give.
Something to watch out. Congratulations to both.
Thank you.
One of the great things about the film, I think, is the production design. Can you tell us a bit about how that was formed, and how do you think we can produce more of these kinds of films? We have an actual universe that the setting is actually created by the team.
I mean, all credit goes to the team of the production designers, Benjamin Padero, Kalita Bihe. I mean, we've been working together for a long time, so they kind of get this sense of like what I want to do with the story. But this film, usually when we shoot our projects here, we find a location and we build on the location. But the problem with Motel Acasia is there is no such thing as a motel in a location here, so it all needed to be built from scratch. So the design process of the thing itself started off with a lot of discussions between myself and the production designers, and then the production designers with the DOP and us as well. Because then we soon realized that we needed to light this place and design this place almost like an actual location itself. Every light needed to be pre-installed into the walls, and inspiration from it started as because it was written initially in a very kind of warm setting, so it felt very like this is all wooden kind of places. But as we started more and more discussion, we realized that this actually needs to be the opposite. It needs to be cold. It needs to be, it needs to have like a brutalist kind of feeling. You need to have this like ex-communist bunker. And then with this discussion, suddenly the collaboration starts influencing the script. So it's very fun because usually it's like you have a script and then people execute. But now this discussions kind of starts changing the script. Same thing, the actors as well, the discussions just keep moving the script forward. So suddenly from a motel that's just there, you have this idea of like we created this underground bunker where horrible things used to happen before, perhaps, in this place, where the rooms and a pool, is it a place for rich people to go in and do horrible things? And then the sense of feeling and design and texture, you realize that this could be feels like an underground spaceship. So then you got a little bit of a science fiction vibe happening underneath, which is a great contrast to like the harsh elements and the snow upstairs.
And do you think, Bradley, moving forward, Philippine cinema is ready to have more films that have settings like this that we build from the ground up, budget-wise, time-wise? Is it something that we can do more?
Absolutely. I think it all starts from the ground up. I think it starts with a great story, great script, and then from then on, if it's a budget issue, I think there's many options of doing it. This film is a 5-country co-production, and the reason why it's a 5-country co-production because we needed more money to kind of build this thing, and we needed more time. So but the only way that the international parties and international financiers could be interested is because we had something a bit crazy, something a bit unique, and something they felt that they could respond to. And in terms of Philippine cinema going forward, I think it's totally possible. I think it's all about the producers, I feel. As long as we have producers that know what they're doing and have an aim and a goal and start doing these international collaborations, I think we're on a great step forward.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
And for JC, ano yung paborito mong part sa pelikula na yung na-interact mo yung production design? Anything that stood out for you?
Ang dami. Nakita niyo ba yung pool? May pool eh. So marami, every setting doon, as in meron kaming interaction with the whole design. Kasi pag naglalakad kami sa loob talaga, makikita mo kung gaano siya kalawak, makikita mo kung gaano siya kasikip, kalamig. So nung nagkaroon na kami ng outdoor scenes, so chinek ko yung acting ko kung tama ba yung lamig. Tapos pagdating doon, negative 15, 16, 13, 14, 15, 16, gano'n. So meron ako, I think my favorite scene was in the pool area. So abangan niya na kung ano nangyari doon. Yun kasi yung pinaka, for me, interesting din.
Alright. Thank you, Brad and JC.